Whoa, whoa. We are we're streaming everybody. All right, as soon as I see myself, we will get going. A little bit of a lag. All right, there we are. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me here at the First Alert Desk. My name is Tori Cooper, and we always love seeing you here, especially on your weekends, no matter where you're streaming from. Hopefully, you found a way to find your way back here to ANF. So we are working on a number of stories, and we had some developments later on in the morning so that we could pick it up on our night side shift and kind of develop those stories a little bit further. So I figured I would walk you through some of the main talkers of the day that I felt were necessary to come on here and just share with you a little bit about. So let's jump right into it. One of the top stories tonight that I'm going to actually be going in deeper is Fani Willis. She made a public appearance today, and that's not always a common thing for Miss Fani, but she did make a public appearance today for a community Easter egg hunt, and she was asked by reporters a number of different questions. Let's take you to the event really quick, shall we? You can see her there with some Easter eggs, and she really wanted the focus to be on the event, but of course, because of all of the energy and focus surrounding the election interference case, as well as the latest case that she has been involved with whether or not she was going to be disqualified from prosecuting the case. She really wanted to keep it on what was going on today, but that was not really possible. Reporters jumped right into it. They started asking her a number of different questions about the case and what she's going to do next. And she was asked about who she's going to replace Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade with, which attorney is going to take his place now that he has resigned after that ruling came down from Judge McAfee, who said that either one of them had to step away, or if he stepped away, Fani Willis could stay on the case for the election interference indictment. So she would not answer that question. She didn't say who she was going to be replacing Nathan Wade with, but when asked about how soon she was planning on bringing the election interference case to trial, she did weigh in on that. So let's let you hear what she said.
We will continue to move forward with that case as we move forward with every case, and so we intend to do it just as quickly as legally possible. We will continue to move forward with that case as we move forward with every case, and so we intend to do it just as quickly as legally possible. We will.
All right, so that was her response there. Let's go back to me really quickly. So we are, there's still a lot to be done here. Late last week I did cover the latest update on the Fani Willis case. Trump's legal team had filed a court motion filed another court motion to appeal the case, appeal the ruling that Judge McAfee handed down that allowed Fani Willis to stay on the case. And essentially, he did grant that permission for that appeal. So now the next part of this will be the circuit court will look at the ruling that was made to allow Fani Willis to stay on that case. And then essentially, if they decide that that ruling should not have been the ruling, then Fani Willis could then be removed from the case, and that's what would happen next. But it's all up to the circuit court now that appeal has been approved by Judge McAfee. So that was what Trump and his attorneys did mid last week. I covered that. So we will be on top of this, and we will be bringing you the latest updates. But Fani Willis has been very adamant about trying to bring this case to trial as soon as possible, especially with an election cycle happening right now. So that was one of the big stories today. I'll be going deeper into that. So if you do want to see more from that interview that I just shared, make sure that you tune into our newscast tonight. We will be going on later. So if you're in for some late night politics and a story on Fani Willis, you could definitely find that in our newscast later on tonight after all the March Madness. So let's move on and let's talk a little bit about some other stories that we are working on developing further. We have our Atlanta News First reporter Joshua Skinner out in East Atlanta today trying to further develop some more information that he could hopefully gather from the scene of an officer-involved shooting that took place early this morning around 4 a.m. in Snellville. So let's take you to that scene. All right, playing it out. So unfortunately, one man died after a police shooting in this area next to Piedmont East Side campus, the hospital there. And you can see a number of Gwinnett County police officers on scene. We're told that this was very unfortunate. They tried to conduct a traffic stop, and they did just release the name of the man who died as a result of this shooting that took place. His name, let me just make sure I have it right here. He's 36-year-old Rashawn Johnson. Now, police tell us that they initially tried to conduct a traffic stop because he had no headlights. They say when they told him that he was under arrest and demanded him to get out of the car, police say that he pointed a handgun at his own head, and then police tried to demand that he put the weapon down, according to investigators, and then police say that he fired that weapon that was in his hand, firing the weapon, and then police say that they began shooting as well. And now investigators say that it's unclear if that shot came from his own gun or the gun of officers on scene who also began shooting. So very intense situation, devastating whenever this happens. We're definitely going to try to see if family members would want to talk. That's always our next course of action when something like this happens. But now the GBI is investigating, and I should note that no officers were injured in this altercation that took place in this shooting. So that's the very latest that we have on that officer-involved shooting out of Snellville. Let's move on. This is a story that certainly caught my attention because of just my time in Atlanta here. I have a lot of friends in the LGBTQ plus community, and I go to drag shows all the time, and it's one of my favorite things to do. And if you live in the city of Atlanta, you know Mr. Charlie Brown. Oh, gosh, she is just the best. I get goosebumps right now just talking about her, just because of how much of an iconic drag queen that she truly is. And if you're in Atlanta and you're part of the LGBTQ plus community, you've probably had a chance to go to one of her shows at 10 or at Blake's. Or at the Eagle. She made her name at the Atlanta Eagle for sure. So let's play it out. This is a picture of her and Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens. And unfortunately, though, the terrible news that we have to share definitely shook me to my core when I read it. But unfortunately, she died. And this was very recent, not too long ago, about 2 days ago, where we learned about this. She had a heart surgery to replace a defective valve that she had, and unfortunately, she went sepsis. Hopefully I'm saying that right, but yes. And so unfortunately, she did die, but she did have her family and her friends by her side at the time, and of course her partner, who she always talked about, saying that was just her saving grace. And she just had the best energy. She had the best jokes, and she certainly will be missed in the Atlanta community. Hopefully we will learn about funeral arrangements and how people can show up to pay their respects because of just everything that happened with this surgery and how she developed sepsis with what happened. I mean, this came as a shock to a lot of people, I imagine. But I mean, people from all over were coming to see Mr. Charlie Brown. People like Janet Jackson, RuPaul. She performed in front of so many, and she really got her start at the Atlanta Eagle. So again, just paying tribute to her and all of her amazing work and amazing performances that she did. She had me in tears laughing, and I'm sure many people have that very same story about Mr. Charlie Brown. Yes, if we get any information on a way that the community can pay their respects to her, I'll certainly share it with you right here, and we'll have it on our website, and we'll definitely have it in our newscast. So that's the top stories that I felt that you should know about tonight, and look for the developments, because we are working to develop that officer-involved shooting further to try to see again if we can get some more information from family members. And again, there's some other stories that we have our hand on, keeping a pulse on throughout the day. So always love when you join us here. We're always grateful that you continue to follow along with Atlanta News First. So yeah, have a great rest of your weekend. It's so beautiful outside. It would be a crime to not get out there and enjoy it just a little bit. So go do that, and then meet us back here after midnight, possibly around, for our later newscast, or at 10 o'clock, whichever one you want to tune into. And we'll see you then. All right, have a great rest of your day. Do I have to hit the stream button?